Okay, quick little preamble recorded the day after the tournament. I thought about not uploading this one because I didn't exactly have a good time with it. What you're about to see is my worst tournament performance in quite some time at any level. In fact, maybe ever. But and while it's not necessarily the worst thing to upload losses, in fact, I do that a lot. I yeah, I can't I can't really say I enjoyed this one. It's not a whole lot of fun to get blown out multiple times, as you're going to see here. But I think it's still worth uploading in the end anyway. I mean, I don't pretend to be a top player on this channel or anything like that. I'm obviously very far from that. I've never even made a day two. And even though I've earned what I think are a decent number of championship points this season, and I feel like I've tended to improve as a player over time, especially in the last year or so, there are still going to be some stumbles along the way, and I think there can be some value in documenting and uploading that, especially early in a new format. I enjoy making content of my first battles of a regulation or experimenting with another format that will come up in the future, and sometimes that turns out the way this one did, and I think it's still nice to have that record of it and you know, be able to review that and maybe look back to it when I've figured some things out more in the future. I almost never cancel a video that I've already recorded on this channel. I can only think of one time, and it was with the team that the Zamazenta team that Michael Kelsch used to win a regional back in Reg G1. And that I think I went about 500 in that video, but it just felt like a boring slog to me. I didn't enjoy the games, and even so, if I recorded that now, I probably would still upload it. So, yeah, I think we go ahead and do that here. And it's worth saying, I felt like I was pretty decent, genuinely, at Regulation H by the end of that format. And I think earning championship points in Toronto backs that up. But yeah, it's been pretty hard to miss that I find restricted formats quite a bit harder than unrestricted ones generally. That's been the same in that pattern is held up across every format I've played. I had trouble with Reg G the first time. I'm not having the easiest time of it now, and yeah, double restricted is definitely going to be tough. But, you know, I want to keep pressing and try to get better at these formats. I do like restricted formats just because legendary Pokemon are cool. And so it's disappointing to me that I so far am clearly a worse player at them than I am at lower power formats. So yeah, it's something to work on, and you know, it's not linear, and it always starts somewhere. So anyway, enjoy watching me get wrecked in today's video. We'll jump into it now. Okay, they're doing double restricted again, just like the tournament a week ago, and this is actually being recorded 1 week after that one. Maybe this is just what they're doing on Thursdays now. I don't know. It's a fun idea if they are, but I also wouldn't mind seeing some other gimmick. I'm good either way. In any case, it is another double restricted tournament. It's on the first night of the January Global Challenge, which is maybe why some people I'm not seeing in the signups. It looks like it's going to be kind of a small one, but that's okay. And of course, last week I used the Ice Rider Calyrex and Miraidon team that I threw together fairly quickly, and I ran into a lot of opponents with one of the two wolves, either Zacian or Zamazenta, as one of the restricted Pokemon, and then the other one supported by that was either Shadow Rider Calyrex or Miraidon. And so I was thinking I might try a Shadow Rider Zamazenta team myself, and it seems like a pretty straightforward balance composition, and maybe I will next time, if there is a next time. But then I had another idea, and I liked it enough at face value that I wanted to give it a try. It's not necessarily the most sound building process, but given that Ice Rider Calyrex is able to shred through physically frail opponents, and in particular Pokemon like Miraidon that are threatened by that Glacial Lance, but I was having trouble creating openings for Ice Rider Calyrex to break through the Galarian Wolf duo, to the point where, as I was reflecting on the tournament last week, I thought that maybe I should be using Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon instead of Cornerstone. Well, if I want an answer to the Wolves, and also to an extent to Calyrex forms, just because it's very specially bulky and has Fire Stab, how about Ho-Oh for my other restricted Pokemon? That was the thought that I had. I don't know that Ho-Oh is really going to be all that solid necessarily. But at face value, at least as a counter pick to the things that I kept running into last week, it makes a decent amount of sense. It should feed on a lot of Zacian and Zamazenta sets pretty easily, and like I said, it can also threaten burns into opposing Ice Rider Calyrex and maybe stand up to opposing Shadow Rider Calyrex just because of how especially bulky it is. So we are trying the duo of Ho-Oh and Ice Rider tonight. The tournament starts in like 15 minutes actually, so good thing I'm recording this now. That of course does leave some other holes to patch up, but before we get to that, Amoonguss seemed to me like the pretty obvious third Pokemon. I've just recorded a video this week, which will definitely be going up before this one, where I used the duo of Ice Rider, Calyrex, and Amoonguss on the team that won the San Antonio Regional. That might even already be out as I'm recording this. I think it is. I guess I'm losing track as I bulk record things ahead of time, but anyway. I was really impressed with the duo of Amoonguss and Ice Rider Calyrex. Of course, Amoonguss can be a menace under Trick Room, putting things to sleep, and using Side Pollen Puff to keep its teammate healthy, and that combination with Ice Rider Calyrex is very strong. And Amoonguss uses not only the Pollen Puff, but also the Rage Powder redirection to help Calyrex open holes so that it can start snowballing with Chilling Neigh boosts as it shreds through the opposing team with Glacial Lance. So I like that duo a lot. And on paper, I also like Amoonguss with Ho-Oh, because they should have reasonable defensive synergy. Amoonguss resists, 2 of Ho-Oh's 3 weaknesses. Ho-Oh covers some of Amoonguss's weaknesses. It's not quite Celebi and Heatran or Exeggutor and Heatran, but it should still be pretty good. And of course, they both get Regenerator. So if I'm pivoting Amoonguss and Ho-Oh around, yeah, they should have a lot of opportunities to switch out on each other's checks and get that recovery. And again, Ho-Oh has reasonable offensive synergy, I think, with Ice Rider Calyrex, and Amoonguss is a strong support for it. But then we get to the weaknesses that are not super well covered, and of course Miraidon and Kyogre both come to mind, because neither one of my restricted Pokemon resists or is immune to Electric or Water before Terra. I am running Terra Grass on both of them, so I do have that emergency button. But before Terra, they kind of just get blown away by Rain Boosted Water Spout or by pick your Miraidon Electric type attack. So I have some matchup pieces to try to help with that. Wellspring Mask Ogerpon can help to check not only Kyogre, but also the other most threatening water type, Rapid Strike Urshifu. And with that and Amoonguss, I have a decent defensive lineup to throw at them. But yeah, with the Water Absorb and the Follow Me, Ogerpon can, like I said, neutralize Urshifu as a threat if I get the positioning right. Rapid Strike Urshifu specifically. I'm not even sure I said the right form earlier, but obviously the water type one, Rapid Strike. And it can stand up to Kyogre, and it gives my team some water and grass coverage to offensively check threatening Pokemon like also Incineroar that could pose a problem for this restricted duo, because while I do think that Ho-Oh makes a decent sense to complement Ice Rider Calyrex, again, largely as a meta call into what I saw other people running for their restricted Pokemon in last week's tournament. It's not perfect coverage, and Ogerpon should do a lot to help patch that up. Then we have Farigiraf, which can be a Trick Room partner for Calyrex. It's a pretty straightforward set. It's meant to be a more solid answer to opposing Calyrex. Again, both Ice Rider and Shadow Rider, because I think Ho-Oh can work as a soft check, but I definitely need more than that, especially into Shadow Rider, which otherwise is a significant threat to my Ice Rider if they play a decent speed control game. So Farigiraf... Oh, that is not Armor Tail. I need to fix that. Good thing I caught that right now, actually. I also... Fun fact, when I was first going over the team, I had Pound instead of Protect on Calyrex, so I'm a bit of a mess here. I didn't talk about Seed Bomb. I have Seed Bomb on Calyrex instead of Stomping Tantrum because I have Ho-Oh to help into Steel types, but both of them have trouble with Water types, so I think the coverage into Water could be valuable, even with Ogerpon on the team. Let me quickly wrap this up and then fix my team sheet. Farigiraf... it's a physically defensive Terra Water set meant to help cover opposing Ice Rider Calyrex. That's also what the Foul Play is for. Psychic Noise is to chip something. I don't remember what, but maybe it's supposed to help with Urshifu as well. It definitely was for something that I was thinking about in the building process, and of course it's also just a generally good move. Helping Hand can make Glacial Lance stronger. It also gives me a second Trick Room setter. Blood Moon Ursaluna. I felt like I wanted a ground type to help deal with Miraidon, because I don't otherwise have any Miraidon immunity on this team. Amoonguss resists, and I do have Grass Terras, but yeah, I think having a ground type is very valuable when Miraidon was the most used Pokemon in last week's tournament, and it's reasonable to guess that it will be again. And then I also wanted a special attacker, because basically all of my offense before this 6th slot is on the physical side. Calyrex and Ho-Oh are both physical attackers, and then my next strongest Pokemon is Ogerpon. So yeah, a special attacker felt important to round things out, so that basically meant Landorus or Blood Moon or Ursaluna, and if it excuse me, I figured Ursaluna would be stronger in a possible Trick Room game plan, which, given that I'm bringing Trick Room on Calyrex and Farigiraf, makes a lot of sense here. And then Assault Vest, Blood Moon, Ursaluna, because I just felt like the team could use that little bit more special bulk. I don't really want this Ursaluna to be wearing itself down with something like Life Orb Recoil. With the Assault Vest and the Water Terra, it can have some staying power. It also is another Astral Barrage immunity, so that's nice. Obviously before Terra, but then after Terra, it can take a hit from Kyogre and whatnot. Gives me another out into that matchup. So, again, I didn't build this team as quickly as the last one. I put a little bit more time into it, but it maybe is a little bit of a dubious building process. And again, it is partly just a meta call based on what I saw last week. So I don't know if this is the most generally solid double restricted team, and it may be that we get punished by some different team choices by opponents. We'll see. I mean, I didn't play a Kyogre last week, and I'm trying to prep for it anyway. But yeah, I definitely thought that the restricted duo of Ice Rider, Calyrex, and Ho-Oh had some real potential, and given that I like Ho-Oh a lot, it's one of my favorite Pokemon. You can't see it in the open team sheet here, but I made my Ho-Oh shiny because it's my favorite shiny Pokemon. Yeah, once I had the idea, I knew that I wanted to try it out. And maybe I'll try something different in the next double restricted tournament if they do another one soon. Anyway, tournament starts in 10 minutes. I'm going to go fix my team sheet. Okay, started a little late, but we're here now, and look at that. Our first opponent has Ice Rider, Calyrex, and Miraidon, and funnily enough, the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon could be a problem here. That said, I do think I like Ho-Oh in this matchup. I mean, I'm probably bringing my 2 restricted Pokemon. I think Ho-Oh is pretty much a lock, though. I like Ursaluna in this matchup. I mean, it's here in significant part from Miraidon stuff. I think I might be able to get away with Ho-Oh, Calyrex, Farigiraf, Ursaluna in some order for game 1. Probably not that order. Ho-Oh, Farigiraf lead. Calyrex, Ursaluna in the back. Or I could do Ursaluna, Farigiraf lead. That's not bad. I do have to watch out for their Ice Rider, though. And I mean, I have Terra to solve some problems, but I don't want to do it too quickly. And also, like, if I Terrastallize my Farigiraf to handle their Ice Rider better, then it's weak to Miraidon. Even so, I think I'm down to lead Farigiraf. I'll try Farigiraf Ho-Oh. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Miraidon Chi-Yu lead. That's pretty difficult for me, for sure. And again, I can Terra Grass Ho-Oh, but then I'm just trading one weakness for another. It might be worthwhile to try to Trick Room here and protect Ho-Oh. And then even if Farigiraf is knocked out and doesn't get the Trick Room off, that at least gets me Ursaluna in. Probably not the right way to play it, but that's what's coming to mind right now. And actually, we take the Heat Wave. What does Miraidon target? Targets Farigiraf. Okay. Well, I can see what they switch in first. It's the Ogerpon. Okay, this is what happens when I don't think my team all the way through, I guess. But I can try Ursaluna here. Both of my restricted Pokemon being weak to rock is pretty difficult to deal with here. But let's just Earth Power. I can Terra Grass Ho-Oh. Oh wait, I have their open team sheet. Let's see what the Chi-Yu is running. Choice Scarf. So if I Terra Grass Ho-Oh, I guarantee have to deal with that. Okay, I'm just gonna go for a double protect. It's that kind of position. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, rough start. Can pick up the Ogre Pawn here, at least. But I have no way to protect Calyrex from the Chi-Yu. I'm just gonna go for Trick Room, I guess, and hope that Calyrex gets to set it. Yeah. There, Calyrex in the back. Okay. There's also goes first under Trick Room. I mean, mine is not min speed. It could even have been a speed tie. Anyway, that was a pretty tough first game. That didn't go well at all. I really don't have a good Cornerstone Mask Ogre Pawn answer. I did miss that in my planning here. Again, the building process, I put a little more time into it than last time, but that's not saying much. It still was pretty quick. I could use Follow Me Ogre Pawn to guarantee the Trick Room, or close enough to guaranteeing it. Does the Miraidon have a spread move? Well, it has Dazzling Gleam, but not Discharge. I could, but then I'm pretty much throwing my Ogre Pawn away. Yeah, fair enough, starting the timer. I'm surprised they didn't do that earlier. But hey, I was taking advantage of that while I could. I could lead Ursaluna this time. Yeah, I don't hate that. But this might just be a bad matchup. That happens sometimes. But the idea here is to make the Miraidon's life a little harder. Or if Ogre Pawn comes in on this Earth Power this time, that's not the worst thing either. Chi-Yu missing both my Pokemon is also pretty nice. The Miraidon does Volt Switch. Once again, I just kind of throw Farigiraf away there. But I do catch Ogre Pawn with the Earth Power. And that should mean I can more safely get Ho-Oh in. Tailwind and Vacuum Wave. Just immediately pivot my speed control idea. Heat Wave doesn't do too... It actually does a fair bit to Ursaluna, but really doesn't do much to Ho-Oh. Is there Calyrex? It's Terra Water. I can go straight for a Sacred Fire and try to burn it. And... Maybe just Hyper Voice here? Or I could try to get rid of the Chi-Yu. If I do that, maybe I have Miraidon problems soon. I'm going to attack Chi-Yu, though. Okay, Terra Water. Chi-Yu's Choice Scarf still going first. Doesn't knock out Ursaluna. A burn would be great here. We do get it. Okay, 50%. Well, a little less than 50% chance because Sacred Fire is like 95% accurate. 50% if it hits. They do get a Chilling Neigh here. And they'll get Miraidon in. That's not great. Don't especially want to Terrastallize either of these Pokemon. But they can't protect or Terrastallize Miraidon now. So I can protect Ho-Oh here. Glacial Lance. They just knock out Calyrex. Okay, fair enough. Maybe I needed to Terrastallize Calyrex there. Yeah, instead I'm just going to lose. We'll go down swinging with the Sacred Fire. I mean, yeah, Ho-Oh was an idea born of the fact that I saw either Zacian or Zamazenta in every round last time, so go figure, the plan unravels a little bit when I don't see one, but there are still, I don't know how many rounds, I haven't checked yet. Tournament's not over yet. So funnily enough, I checked the stats, and the most used Pokemon tonight is Ice Rider Calyrex, while last round I faced the only Miraidon in this one. This is more like what I expected. We'll get a better test of whether my idea made any sense in the first place. We do have this Shadow Rider Zamazenta team here. Oh, this one's a little bit different. It doesn't have the usual balance pieces around it. It's got the Indeedee, Roaring Moon. Anyway, this is still a Ho-Oh matchup if such a thing exists. But I do have to watch out, not so much for the Roaring Moon, because Ho-Oh's item isn't important here. I definitely have to watch out for the, for Shifu, but I think it's pretty safe to lead Ho-Oh. I'm thinking about whether I want to lead Ogre Pawn, considering their Urshifu can be a problem. I think the Pokemon that I bring to this are Ho-Oh, Calyrex, Amoonguss, Ogre Pawn. Maybe there's a case for either one of my normal types against the Shadow Rider. Yeah, maybe Ursaluna. But I think I'm down to try those first four in this in game 1. Honestly, it's not a great Ice Rider Calyrex game, is it? I'm gonna try leading Ho-Oh Ogre Pawn and we'll see what that gets me. They lead Calyrex Indeedee. Okay. Do they have Expanding Force? They do. Alright, that's a bit of an issue, for sure. It might be worth it. No, to just throw Ogre Pawn away to get damage into Indeedee, but I think it's probably not. Also, they have Trick Room, so Tailwind isn't necessarily great here. Maybe I do need Ursaluna in game 2. For now, I'll just try to Sacred Fire the Calyrex. What's its item? Covert Cloak. Oh, I can't burn it with Sacred Fire then. Might as well just Brave Bird. Not Rocky Helmet Indeedee. Okay. And maybe I should get switch Ogre Pawn out to my Calyrex? Let's Spiky Shield first and see what they do. Okay, good thing I didn't Sacred Fire. That does too much damage. That does a fair bit too, but... Okay, maybe... Hear me out, maybe... I can switch Ho-Oh out to my Calyrex. I don't love throwing away Water Absorb, but Terra Water for the special defense boost. And Horn Leech their Calyrex. And restricted formats are hard. Okay. I felt like I was getting pretty decent at Regulation G by the end of that, or excuse me, Regulation H by the end of that format. And now in a restricted format, I mean, Reg G is hard already, but double restricted, I don't think I have the right ideas, at least to start with. Yeah, I don't see how I beat this Calyrex now. Okay, well. I guess I'll just play aggressively. Hope it works somehow. Because I don't have another idea, but I think, yeah, Astral Barrage just drops my whole team at this point. The problem is, you know, I can lead Ursaluna to try to have better answers to that, but then I open myself up to Zamazenta. That's why I didn't lead Ursaluna in game 1. Yeah. Well. Alright. A lot of quick losses so far tonight, but game 2 now. I definitely will lead Ursaluna this time, and if they get me with a Zamazenta adjustment, good for them. If I could lead Ho-Oh Ursaluna, maybe that's what I should have done the first time. Yeah, I don't know why I was so afraid of the Urshifu. I can switch Amoonguss into that. So I definitely led wrong in game 1. I mean, I can say that I didn't predict what they were going to do, but I think this lead made more sense in the first place. I think I got too hung up on one of their Pokemon, and I didn't consider the bigger picture. But with Ho-Oh and Ursaluna, I have threats immediately into both of their restricted Pokemon. If it is just Indeedee Calyrex again, which it isn't, but if it were, we know that Ho-Oh could take an Expanding Force. Okay, Sacred Fire, Zamazenta. I mean, Ursaluna is still in danger here. With the Assault Vest, maybe I don't need the Astral Barrage immunity. I think I'm willing to try Terra Water and just Blood Moon into Calyrex. Ah, it protects. Fire does get the burn. Yeah, okay, now I've thrown away my Expanding Force immunity, or no, my Astral Barrage immunity, which is the more important thing right now. I might be able to knock out Calyrex with this double up. I do also kind of have a hunch that... Ah, they turned off my priority. Okay, but Ursaluna takes the attack. But it's not going to take the next one. Man. Nor is Ho-Oh. I just don't see a way. Kind of gives you the feeling that Ho-Oh is not going to have much of a place in the official double restricted meta, huh? But once I had the idea to try it, I knew I wanted to. Get recovery on Ho-Oh and hope that Calyrex survives this hit, because I don't see a way to win otherwise, and yeah, that'll do it. Alright, GG's. Looks like it'll be 4 rounds, so halfway there, haven't won a game yet. Round 3, opponent signed up very last minute and missed that it's double restricted, but still is 1-1 while I'm 0-2, so can't really talk, can I? How do I beat this team? Well, I mean, my best Shadow Rider answers are Farigiraf and Ursaluna. Ursaluna actually looks pretty reasonable into a lot of this team. Should probably open the open team sheet. I don't even hate leading Farigiraf Ursaluna. Ursaluna has to watch out for Hitmontop. Can't be faked out with Farigiraf next to it. Might want to Terra Water though, but that's not even the worst thing in this matchup. And then... honestly, my restricted Pokemon are both kind of bad into Regirock. I could bring Ogerpon and Calyrex, or I could bring a Moongus and Calyrex. Honestly, Ho-Oh is not crazy to help cover their Ogerpon. I could just bring Ho-Oh and Calyrex. But I can't. But I'd probably want to Terrastallize one of them if I'm doing that, and I expect I'm most likely using the Terra on Ursaluna. I could lead Farigiraf Ho-Oh. But that's getting too cute, I think. Let's just bring Ogerpon and Calyrex and see what that does. They lead Ogerpon, Calyrex. They're threatening the Wood Hammer into Ursaluna right away. Pretty bad. I think I like Trick Room here. I actually could Pollen Puff my Farigiraf with the choice specs. That's kind of funny. But yeah, I'll just try that and Hyper Voice. They might just knock out Ursaluna. They might knock out Farigiraf before I can get the Trick Room up. But, you know, one hopes that an opponent will finally not do that. They do just Pollen Puff Farigiraf and it KOs. And then Woodhammer will not quite KO Ursaluna, but close enough. That I'm not exactly a happy camper here. I guess the good news is I haven't used my Terra yet. I can turn off my Astral Barrage weakness here. Try to get the Ogerpon. If they leave it in, I can pick it up with Vacuum Wave and then get a single target Glacial Lance. No, it's probably still better to Trick Room. But I do want to get rid of the Ogerpon if I can. Don't quite get the KO. And it's locked into Pollen Puff. Yeah, okay. That just doesn't work. Well, I'm saying a lot of that tonight. This is also weak to Pollen Puff, by the way. Specs Pollen Puff is actually kind of a killer. Alright, 0-5 in games so far tonight. I'll bring Ho-Oh back. It's a stronger lead into what they were doing there. I could even do this. Ursaluna in the back and Farigiraf? Yeah, maybe. Let's bring a Mungus. Yeah, I think next time I play Double Restricted, it definitely will just be like Shadow Rider, Zamazenta, Rillaboom, Incineroar, Rapid Striker, Shifu, Roaring Moon. By which I mean Raging Bolt. I don't know why I said Roaring Moon. That's probably the key to this format, right? Just use the best Pokemon. Okay. I mean, Ho-Oh should be able to take hits from these two. That Astral Barrage does a lot, but not close to KOing. I get the Tailwind up this time. Kind of want to just throw a Brave Bird into the Ogre Pond immediately. Might be throwing Ho-Oh away, but it does kind of feel like time to get aggressive here. The Calyrex is still faster. Yeah, this team is bad. I've built a bad team. Oh well. How it goes sometimes. Yeah. GG's to another opponent here. Okay, I think there's one round left. Alright, I think this is the last round. This player is 2-1, so the bracket is just a mess as people have dropped or not shown up in the first place. They also only have one restricted Pokemon, but I just lost to one restricted Pokemon last round, so it doesn't feel like much of an advantage. That said, Ho-Oh is kind of strong into their whole team. Ice Rider's okay. Surely this is the set where I can finally get Trick Room up, right? Surely I can get Trick Room up this time. Farigiraf in front of Chien-Pao? Maybe not. I can't stop their extreme speeds, but I don't have anybody that wants to take this Outrage. Maybe I should have run Terra Fairy on something. I probably should have. Excuse me. Well, let's see if they let me get Trick Room. They have Crunch on Chien-Pao, not Sucker Punch. Oh, they do have Sucker Punch as well, but they have a non-priority Dark type attack, so I can't rely on Farigiraf just avoiding this with Armor Tail. They didn't attack Farigiraf, they knocked out Ho-Oh, which did not... So I wasted my Terra, kind of. But the good news is they didn't... Or I also didn't get a burn, that's not the good news. The good news is they didn't attack Farigiraf at all. And they've used their Terra, they can't Terrestrialize Dragonite, Glacial Lance, Helping Hand. They can't Sucker Punch still because of the Armor Tail. They can get Zamazenta in, and I'm no longer able to threaten that with Ho-Oh, but it is Inner Focus Dragonite. It just drops this Glacial Lance. We get Calyrex to +1. Feels pretty bad that I'm not running Stomping Tantrum, but... also don't have a good answer to this Amoonguss. Well, I guess this is my Amoonguss answer. If I could Terra Grass the Calyrex if I hadn't wasted my Terra, but of course I thought that the Chanpao was going to attack for Farigiraf. It didn't. I've at least chipped the Zamazenta some, and now I get my own Amoonguss in. I can Spore Zamazenta. My opponent terrestrializing turn 1 has actually been very helpful to me. I will say that. They at least have to protect Zamazenta this turn. It'd be great if Calyrex wakes up. It does. Can knock out their Amoonguss. The problem is Chanpao gets back in now. Trick Room is over. I'm just going to protect Calyrex and Pollen Puff Chanpao and hope that works out. Maybe Rage Powder Trick Room is better. I don't really know at this point. Let's get Amoonguss a KO if we can. Nice. They try to crunch Calyrex. They actually try to double into Calyrex. We do knock out Chanpao here. And now I think I can pretty safely Trick Room and Rage Powder. I think Amoonguss will survive this. Zamazenta, yeah, especially if they go for Body Press. Zamazenta will get chipped some more by the Rocky. I have a Rocky Helmet. Why was Zamazenta taking damage? Oh, I had Rocky Helmet on Farigiraf. That's what confused me. Anyway, don't mind that. Glacial Lance and Spore. Did finally win a game, I think. The Rocky Helmet chip is actually very much coming in handy, as the next Glacial Lance should close this out. Alright, there's a game win. I don't know that they'll let Farigiraf just set Trick Room again like that in game 2. But what else have I got to work with? Let's try the same mode again. Hello, Farigiraf against Chanpao and Dragonite again. I'm just gonna make the same play again. I think they might crunch Farigiraf this time. No, they attack Ho-Oh again. Still no Sacred Fire Burn. Dragonite going for Aerial Ace this time means that it will be able to switch out of this Glacial Lance, but I'm still down to take that damage. And I'll Psychic Noise the Dragonite slot because I think I might catch Zamazenta or something on the switch. Yeah. Just a nice little bit of chip there. +1 knocking out the Chanpao, so it's actually good that I didn't get the Sacred Fire Burn. There's Amoonguss. That Pokemon is a bit of a problem again. Once again, I terrestrialized Farigiraf when I didn't need to, but I really thought that they might make me. What can I say? I think they might Spore Farigiraf this time, anticipating the Protect on Calyrex. Nope, overthought it. That's why I didn't Protect this time, so I could still get an attack off this turn. But they're still Body Pressing into Farigiraf, so... Huh. I wonder whether Psychic Noise has a chance to KO now. They can Spore Farigiraf. I now can Spore their Amoonguss, if I want, because they've terrestrialized it. And they do actually allow Psychic Noise to just knock out Zamazenta. So I'm in a good spot if Calyrex wakes up here. Not a great thing to have to rely on, but... yeah, okay, it does. We can knock out Dragonite, no problem. Amoonguss still takes a lot from that. And they forfeit. So, hey, we won Usat tonight. What have I learned from this tournament? I don't know if I'm going to upload this one. Honestly, it's been kind of a downer for me. But if I do, I've learned to use good Pokemon, so as fun an idea as Ho-Oh seemed, again, it was a call for a very specific meta that I played last week that I didn't really play this week, and it didn't really work when we faced a team from that meta. Anyway, I think Ho-Oh, as much as I love it, it is one of my very favorite Pokemon. I think Pokemon like Ho-Oh can't really keep up in a format like this unless you have a really specialized team in mind for them. And granted, last week's tournament didn't go super well for me either. Hang on, did I remember to say GG's? I didn't, and they left. If I upload this and you watch it, GG's. Yeah, when I had my most success last week, it was when I could just blast things with Miraidon and Calyrex. Ho-Oh, at least the way I used it, doesn't really give me a way to do that. So I think the opportunity cost of using Ho-Oh in a restricted slot is just too high unless you have a really specific good team figured out for it. I do think if I play another of these soon, like I said, I'll probably just use some Shadow Rider Zamazenta stuff or something like that. But yeah, genuinely, I mean, I have a lot of room to improve at restricted formats. I'm definitely better at this point at lower power formats like Reg H, and I'm finding the restricted ones harder to adjust to. It was kind of the same even when I was a brand new player in Gen 8. I still found restricted formats harder then, I would say. But yeah, I think the lesson from this one might just be, like, if you want to do well, use the best Pokemon. Yeah, that's how it is sometimes.